Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello and welcome to the show, which kicks off with us taking a unique tour of 3 European cities. First though, here's a look at what else is coming up. Riding high, kite surfer Gisela Pulido is aiming for the top. Why Capri is one of Europe's most popular destinations, its island in the sun. And tourist magnet, Bavaria is Germany's top vacation spot. If you're on the streets of a foreign city, there is one vehicle that you won't miss when it drives by, a taxi. And that's because most cities use the same model or colour for their cabs, like beige in Berlin or white in Rome. But the experience of being in one can be quite different. We hailed a taxi in London, Paris and Budapest and went on a unique tour of all 3 countries to find out about the drivers and compare the experiences of the cities from a passenger's point of view.
Jeff Thomas knows the English capital like the back of his hand. 8 years ago, the London Bobby became a London cabbie. And that implies an intimate knowledge of the city, not just the ability to get passengers from A to B.
As we turn the corner into the Mall, you'll notice how wide it is. Well, in the Second World War, this had the ability to land and take off an aircraft, as you can see. This little hotel here, this is the Goring Hotel where the flags are, and this is where Kate Middleton spent her last night as a single lady before marrying Prince William. So it's very close to Buckingham Palace.
Taxi drivers are often the first people that tourists encounter on a city visit. In the Hungarian capital Budapest, that could be Mariana Bojar. She drives for the oldest taxi company in the country.
Driving a taxi in Budapest is a fascinating thing. You can show around, you can be really proud, the city is beautiful, you meet all kind of people from around the world, and you can be also a little bit like helping them, guiding them, being a personal assistant.
Mariana loves showing tourists around her native Budapest, which is often described as one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. The Danube Panorama was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1987, as was the 800-year-old Castle District. The Matthias Church is where the Austrian emperors were once crowned as kings of Hungary. The city's best-known building, Buda Castle, houses the Hungarian National Gallery, among other treasures. A total of 9 bridges span the Danube as it winds its way through Budapest. The Chain Bridge was the first to link the formerly separate cities of Buda and Pest.
Look on the left. This is my favorite place on earth. This is Matthias Church and the Fisherman's Bastion, and this is one of those points where you can see Pest side in total view. So I often driving foreign guys here to let them see Pest side from here.
In Paris, too, one of the best ways to take in the sights is from inside a taxi cab. But here in the French capital, cab drivers need strong nerves. Nadia Aleli has been driving a taxi here for 9 years now.
You need a lot of patience, otherwise you can't do it for long. You crack. There's too much pressure and stress and too many traffic jams. Sometimes passengers complain because they want to get where they're going as fast as possible.
From the Place de la Concorde, along the Champs-Élysées to the Arc de Triomphe. The multi-lane traffic around the Place de l'Étoile is a real challenge.
Cars come from every direction. If you're involved in a crash, both parties are held equally at fault because there's no way to determine who was in the right.
London cabbies are no strangers to heavy traffic. Jeff Thomas loves the nooks and crannies of his city, but the stop and go of driving around them can be a trying and impossibly slow experience.
The City of London are thinking about the end of this month them having a blanket 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, and we all joked and said, what? You could do 20 miles an hour in the city? Because normally you can't.
London cabbies do some of their best business after dusk when the streets fill with night revelers. Many of the city's rich and famous prefer to use the famous black taxis than be chauffeured around in their own luxury limos. Apart from anything else, it helps them hide in the crowd.
They find them very comfortable and they're ideal for what they want. Just to get in and wander around and without being mobbed by people going, oh look, there's so-and-so. People just want to get on with their lives.
Whether in Budapest, Paris or London, each taxi ride in one of Europe's grand cities offers passengers a unique experience.
Well, some people prefer to travel by sea, and Germany's North Sea coast is filled with colourful kites at the moment. The sixth stage of the Kitesurfing World Championship Tour has been taking place, and thousands of spectators have flocked to St. Peter-Ording to watch favourites like Gisela Pulido. The Spaniard has won the championship title several times, but this year is proving to be quite a challenge for her so far.
Every summer, St. Peter-Ording on Germany's North Sea is one of the venues for the Kitesurf World Cup. Some 116 kiteboarders from 28 countries will be starting here until the event ends on August the 10th. The favorite in the women's event is Gisela Pulido. The Spanish kiter has already won 4 titles in St. Peter-Ording.
I have to win here if I want to keep fighting for the world title, so it's a bit of extra pressure.
This event earns contenders points for the world ranking. Pulido's closest rival is Karolina Winkowska of Poland.
This year I was really good in very strong wind, whereas Gisela was better in light wind. I don't know what to expect here, because in Germany it can be light, can be strong, and we'll see. I'll try my best.
Just days earlier in surfing paradise Tarifa in the south of Spain, where Gisela Pulido lives. Every morning, the 20-year-old trains in the gym for strength and fitness.
You have to try to combine physical training with technical training, so you have to be you have discipline in the morning, go to the gym, and then go kiting in the afternoon. And you have to work a lot with your flexibility, because your muscles they need to be too flexible, because then you can get injured as well really fast. So a good kiter has to be really complete and has to be in balance with the body.
The athlete has lived in Tarifa for 10 years together with her father. Last year, her mother also gave up her home in Barcelona to support her daughter full-time.
At first I thought this kiting stuff was just a phase, but then Gisela's father put her to the test, and he saw that she really wanted to do it and was physically able. I trusted his assessment, and he's devoted his life to our daughter, right until today.
In 2004, Gisela Pulido earned her first world title, making her at 10 the youngest world champion in kitesurfing history. That was followed by 8 more world championships.
The feeling of seeing your own daughter as a champion on the podium is impossible to describe. It's an incredible sensation. There are no words for it.
This was her biggest adventure to date. At the age of 16, Gisela Pulido raced a ferry across the Straits of Gibraltar. She took just 35 minutes to reach Tangiers in Morocco, neck and neck with the 40,000 horsepower ship. A year later, she kiteboarded the 12 Apostles rock formation in Australia. The limestone stacks are considered virtually unsurfable due to the gusty winds.
If you want to be the best of the world, you really have to risk and make really extreme maneuvers, and at the end your body is going to feel it.
Which is why Pulido has looked for other sources of income. In Tarifa, she's opened a restaurant, a kite school, and 2 surf shops. She's also doing a correspondence degree in international business. But for now, her professional sports career comes first. Her income from sponsors and prizes is around 250,000 euros a year. Always at her side is her father and trainer Juan Manuel Pulido. He makes sure she's perfectly prepared for the 12 tricks she can show during a competition round. He's observed how the standards rise from year to year and the maneuvers get ever riskier.
Gisela keeps a cool head. Her concentration is very high. That's her great talent. There's a lot of pressure on her, especially now when she's become world champion for the 9th time. The media and the sponsors think it must be easy to win again. I hope her ability to deal with pressure so well will help her.
Back in St. Peter-Ording, the competition is in full swing. It's time for Gisela Pulido to go into the water.
Trained so hard, like all my life, just dedicated to kitesurfing and to the competition. So when you win, when I win, it's like, no, it's the best feeling.
Gisela Pulido has 4 big competitions ahead of her this year, and only then will we know whether the Catalan will be crowned as freestyle world champion for the 10th time.
Now, you may have heard about Capri pants, Capri sandals, or even a Capri Sun drink. All of these things originated in the small Italian island of the same name, Capri. This just goes to show the extent of its popularity around the world. But take all of this away and you're still left with a stunning island with scenery that is just as much a draw as anything else.
Its delights have long been sung, the Isle of Capri. Now they're hard to find among the throngs of tourists. Almost every minute, small boats and ferries bring visitors from the mainland. In the high season, about 15,000 a day. And the island off the Neapolitan coast is just 10 square kilometers in area.
We just heard it's very nice, it's a lovely day. We've just been staying in Sorrento and people say it's a very nice island.
We've heard a lot about Capri and it's been used in a lot of movies, and you know, you just hear about it as an exotic, you know, getaway.
Beautiful place, one of the most romantic places in Europe, and they love it.
That means 2 million tourists a year compared to just 16,000 residents. In the summer months, taking cars onto the island is banned. People take buses from the harbour or the funicular railway uphill to Capri town itself. Capri and Anacapri are the island's 2 towns. Capri's piazzetta and small shop-lined lanes also reflect the island's lifestyle. By the turn of the last century, it was a haven for writers and artists and a resort for the wealthy. In the 1960s, celebrity visitors like Grace Kelly, Elizabeth Taylor, and Jackie Kennedy brought it even wider fame. The then First Lady of the US had sandals made at Canfora's cobbler's shop. Capri sandals became a bestseller.
My grandfather started the business in this place was 1946. He was the first one to make the traditional sandals, leather sandals, with something on like stones, coral, bejeweled sandals. From that idea, it came what is internationally known as Capri sandals. It became very popular because it was the first and the only one making things like that.
All Canfora Capri sandals are still handmade. The price for a pair runs from 100 to 380 euros. The company has many regular customers. Right nearby are the Augustus Gardens with a view of the Via Krupp, a 1,300-metre serpentine path, which the German industrialist Friedrich Alfred Krupp had laid out in 1902. Krupp loved the Mediterranean island's mild climate and rich vegetation. Capri appeals to all the senses. Not only are there centuries-old fragrances, there are also flavours. Caprese salad was invented here a good 100 years ago. The simple dish of mozzarella, tomatoes and basil appears regularly on many a menu outside Italy as well. Torta caprese is less well known. It's a chocolate and nut cake made entirely without flour. Well fortified, you can then make your way to the island's main attraction, the Grotta Azzurra, the Blue Grotto. Ancient Roman rulers are said to have gone swimming there. Nowadays, it seems more like a theme park than a natural spectacle.
The play of light comes from two sources. First, there's a small hole the boat goes through. Then there's a much larger one below the water, 4 or 5 meters more in diameter. The light that passes through that is reflected in the water and creates this dazzling blue color.
Sometimes it's easy to overlook Capri's natural beauties in the sea of tourists. But the locals make sure that people at least hear about Blue Grotto in their songs.
Now, I'm sure we've all tried to make a paper aeroplane at some point or another. It's relatively simple. But how about trying a life-sized elephant? This is one of the many challenges that professional origami artist Sipho Mabona took up, with the aim of proving that there are no limits to what can be made with a single sheet of paper. This origami elephant project is part of a larger crowd-funded campaign, which he hopes will follow in his other works and be displayed at exhibitions and museums the world over.
Sipho Mabona has a passion for paper. In the form of a human or an animal. From the big and solitary to the small but numerous. For the past 5 years, the Swiss origami artist has been able to live from, yes, folding paper. He works out of a small studio in Lucerne.
If my memory serves me well, my mother showed me how to make paper airplanes when I was 5. I was crazy about it right from the start.
Today, Mabona's work is displayed in museums. His most recent creation consists of 21 giant paper birds he made for the Museum of the Tropics in Amsterdam. In February, the 34-year-old proved that origami knows few size limits when he made an elephant. Like all of Mabona's works, it consisted of a single sheet of paper. Only this one was a 15 by 15 meter custom-made sheet of paper from the US. It cost 10,000 euros. Mabona worked on the elephant for a month with 3 assistants.
The idea is that there are no limits to what we can make from a rectangular piece of paper. But with the dimensions I work in, there are significant physical forces at work. The effects are very different in relation to paper thickness, so the entire process is different.
But, big or small, every piece of origami starts with a sheet of paper and an idea.
Basically, I figure out which part of the animal I want to have on which part of the paper. For example, if I have a square, I start by thinking, okay, I want the elephant's tail here and the 2 legs on this side, and here the body, and maybe in the middle the trunk, and here the ears.
Mabona's works are in great demand around the world. They've been featured in commercials for a Japanese shoemaker and a consumer electronics manufacturer. A Hamburg ad agency had him design an entire living room from paper. And for his Singapore hotel, he put together some koi fish. Mabona's works are unique. His origami elephant can be admired right now at an exhibit in Barrowminster, Switzerland.
Sipho Mabona's works never fail to fascinate our visitors. On the one hand, people are intrigued by the physical aspect, the techniques he uses, and how he can make such a wide variety of things from a sheet of paper. On the other hand, he really pushes the boundaries of origami.
Sipho Mabona has made what began as a love of paper airplanes into an artistic calling and a career.
Beer, pretzels, and grassy mountaintops. These are three things that are associated with Bavaria. This region in the south of Germany is the country's most popular spot for holiday makers. In fact, 32 million people visited there last year alone. But it's not just the foreigners who enjoy what Bavaria has to offer. It's at the top of the list for Germans as well.
Adventure, hospitality, tradition. Last year, Bavaria attracted some 32 million tourists, setting a new record. It isn't just travel destination #1 among Germans. Most vacationers from abroad also go to Bavaria. 7.5 million last year, mainly from the Netherlands and the US. Whatever the weather, tourism is booming in Bavaria.
We're staying near Lake Chiemsee. You can do just about anything there. Swim, cycle, hike in the mountains. It's great.
It's very welcoming, like, to people that travel from abroad, right? So, yeah, I like it. Yeah. We love it. Yeah.
I like the most here the beer. München have a great beer, so that's so cool for us.
Many foreigners associate brass bands, Lederhosen, and the Oktoberfest with Bavaria and Germany in general. Those associations aren't always flattering, but they do play a major role in marketing. Harald Peschlaner from the Tourist Research Center in Eichstätt says these stereotypes actually benefit tourism in Bavaria.
They give people an idea of what they're looking for when they decide on a region and book a trip.
There's plenty to draw visitors, including cultural treasures, interesting towns and cities, and varied landscapes. At around 70,000 square kilometers, it's the largest of Germany's federal states. The mountains make Bavaria a paradise for fans of the outdoors. The alpine foothills and some 200 lakes are perfect for vacationers looking for relaxation and sporting activities. And with 122 ski resorts, Bavaria attracts tourists all year round. Tourism expert Jens Huwald says the winter season also gives Bavaria an edge.
Nature is one of our main selling points. If we didn't have the alpine foothills, the vineyards, and our uplands, we wouldn't be a prime destination.
Bavaria's towns and cities are also attractive, especially the capital Munich with its many sights and distinctive lifestyle. Marienplatz Square with its famous Glockenspiel is always a draw. So is the English Garden, where locals go to relax after work. But smaller towns also attract tourists. One is Rothenburg ob der Tauber with its medieval center. Bavaria boasts numerous castles and palaces. One of the most popular tourist magnets is Neuschwanstein, with 1.3 million visitors a year. The state also has 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and the locals are known for their hospitality.
Bavaria has the great advantage that all these different regions and landscapes are home to people who embody them, who create this link with the countryside. And that's the kind of authenticity that people want.
Rich natural beauty and that special local charm, experts expect Bavaria to break tourism records again this year.
Well, wherever you're off to on your holidays this year, I hope you have a wonderful time. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon for more lifestyle news from around Europe. Bye-bye for now.